Hello, everyone. It's Helen here with Helen. Thanks for joining me. Tonight, we're going to talk about, can a UTI/bladder infection send you to the hospital? And the answer is yes. A week and a half ago, I woke up in the middle of the night with such excruciating pain that we had to make an ER trip due to a UTI. I'm going to go back 3 weeks ago because I was starting to deal with a little bit of pain in my bladder, and I was starting to deal with stinging when I was urinating. And so that is one of the most common signs that you have a UTI. But it's also a very common sign for interstitial cystitis. And if you're not familiar with that, look it up or watch my video. But the symptoms go hand in hand. Now, I haven't had a UTI/bladder infection since 2012. So it has been a very, very long time. However, I do deal with interstitial cystitis on a pretty regular basis. Anytime I have a flare up from eating like spicy food, sugary food, stress, whatever, I'll get some very, very similar symptoms to a UTI. So 3 weeks ago, I was dealing with these symptoms, and I just assumed that I was dealing with the interstitial cystitis. Maybe something was going on. And typically after a couple of days, it regulates and then you're all back to good. Well, this wasn't going away at all. In fact, the pain was getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And so I was like, what could it be? Well, I went to bed one evening and I was not feeling good. In fact, I was feeling flu-y, and I was like, So I asked my husband, I said, "Are you feeling sick?" And he's like, "No." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm not feeling good." I fell asleep. I woke up at 1 o'clock in the morning and I was not doing well at all. I went to the bathroom and came back to bed. I went to the bathroom, came back to bed, and I laid there and I was shaking. And I'm like, something's not right. I was trying not to wake him up, but I was waiting for him to roll over so I could say, we gotta go. Nobody wants to wake somebody up in the middle of the night and be like, we gotta go to the emergency room. But for me to say that, I knew that I was very, very sick. And so I did wait for the roll, and I'm like, hey, I'm not doing good. We gotta go. And so literally went in my pajamas, we loaded up in the car, we headed over to the ER, and I told them what I was experiencing, what was going on. We got in. Obviously, they're gonna have you urinate in a cup, and that wasn't great because of the color of the urine. So immediately they knew probably infection. And within a very short period of time, they came in there and they started an IV, they gave me some fluids, they gave me a very, very strong antibiotic. In fact, the doctor said that it should have kicked it by 90%. That's how strong it was. They also gave me a little bit of pain med in there, and they gave me a couple other things, and then they just let me rest for a few minutes. By the time I left the hospital, I was feeling a tiny bit better, but when I got home, the bleeding was insane. So I've never, ever, ever had a UTI other than where I've bled, other than a little bit of spotting. So just a tiny bit. This was completely different. This was almost like hemorrhaging bleeding, and it was throughout the entire day. So already I was thinking to myself, is this something more? Because this doesn't really seem like UTI/bladder infection. And maybe I'm wrong, because maybe some of you watching this, you've experienced that and you're like, no, that was totally a kidney, bladder, UTI infection. And I get it, but this was a very unusual amount of blood all throughout the day. And so I'm still trying to piece it together because I've never, ever had that happen. In fact, if I go back to 2012, some of the symptoms were, having the painful urination, having some bladder pain, some pain up through here, maybe some spotting, but I've never had this particular thing happen to me before. And so we're still trying to figure some things out. So I was in the hospital. We were set to go on a camping trip the next day, the family camping trip. And guys, every single year, it never fails. Something happens to me during the annual camping trip. Last year, I threw my back out on the camping trip, remember? And we had to come home early. And so I think the family was like, okay. And then this year, I'm in the hospital the night before we're supposed to go on the annual camping trip. And I'm like, they're probably thinking like, wow, that lady is a loon. I can't help it. So I told him, I don't know what's going to happen next year. Lord knows I'm going to try to be here, but I don't know. There's just something about it. And so we were scheduled to go on the annual camping trip. And I thought, you know what? we're just going to go. I would be sitting at home anyways. We might as well go on the camping trip and I can just rest in the camper. And I'm definitely glad we did go. I don't know how much fun I was because I couldn't do a whole lot. You know, everywhere you go, you have to be by a bathroom. However, it was fun. Now, did the antibiotics kick it 100% or 90% like they said? And the answer is no. They sent me home with a bottle of antibiotics right here. And this one right here is cephalexin. I believe that's how you pronounce it. So they sent me home with that and they wanted me to do this for 7 days, 3 times a day. Well, if you know my body, that's not going to happen. Okay. I have GI issues, gastroparesis, acid reflux. Usually if I have an antibiotic, I have to get it drip style. I was going to request that, but the doctor at the hospital had already left. And so I didn't want to be a real pain. And I thought, well, since it's already going to kick it by 90%, maybe if I just take a couple days worth of these, we'll be good to go. Well, guys, it's been almost 2 weeks and I still have it. So, oh no, these are not kicking it. And, but I can't take these the way I'm supposed to because I'm supposed to be taking 2 of these 3 times a day. And I'm only taking 2 of these a day right now because that's the kind of problems I have with my GI system. So I'm probably going to have to go back to the doctor and get some form of a drip antibiotic to get this kicked once and for all. I am happy to let you know I am not bleeding anymore and I have not bled probably in a week and a half. So that's good. So that shows that this is working a little tiny bit. I can't help but to think, now UTIs can be caused from numerous different things. I can't help but to think though that this wasn't partially caused because of my hormonal changes that I've had going on with coming off of the estrogen, the patch, because I came off the patch just recently as well. And then all of a sudden now we're dealing with this. So I'm thinking it might go hand in hand because the last time that I had a UTI was in 2012. And that was right around the same time I had my hysterectomy. And so I do believe, and there was a lot of hormonal stuff going on at that point in time too. And so I do believe there's some correlation there. So we're going to have to get some things figured out as far as that's concerned. But I know that I still have it because I'm still kind of dealing with some of the stinginess and some of the other symptoms, but I am grateful to say that I'm not bleeding right now. Are there some different things that you can take to kind of help ease, I guess, some of the discomfort? Yes, but they don't really want you taking them for a long period of time. So you've got this azo urinary pain relief stuff right here, which you can take for a couple of days. Sometimes your doctors will prescribe something very similar to this. And it's that stuff that when you take it, it actually makes your pee like a bright orange color. So the doctors will give it. This will do the same thing for you, but it'll take away pain. But right here, they do not want you taking this more than a couple of days. So whatever the reasoning is, I think it's just to kind of keep you comfortable while you are taking your antibiotic. So definitely something worth picking up. I think it was like $10-ish. It might be a little bit more depending on where you get it. We already know that sometimes with urinary tract infections, if they're mild and you're somebody who suffers from it on a regular basis, just by taking cranberry pills. So here's some azo cranberry pills. I haven't even opened these ones up yet because I'm still dealing with it. But I just thought if in the future it starts to feel a little funny again, I can start popping these just to be proactive. So I know a lot of the times people can just take these, they can just drink cranberry juice and some other things, and then they swear that they never get them. So that's awesome. But definitely something. But in this case, the cranberry, what I'm dealing with, isn't going to kick it. So we're past that point at this point. And so then another little tool, and this is another way that I actually know that I still have it, is they have these little test strips. They're the ASO test strips, and they're urinary tract infection tests. And what you do is obviously when you go to the bathroom, you just, pee on this little stick for like 2 seconds, kind of like our pregnancy test for all of you who've done that. And then it'll give you like a color chart. And then you have to just, a little color chart right here. And then you have to compare like the color of it. Sadly, guys, I'm the darkest purple and as dark as it can go still. So I'm like, why am I in the dark purple? I haven't even made it into like the lavender yet. Okay. It's been a couple weeks and I've bought 2 boxes of these. In a box, it'll come with 3 of these. And so I'm still way down here. So we'll see. I guess it warrants definitely a call because I know that if you let these go, then it can become even more problematic. So, anyways, definitely don't want to continue to mess with the urinary tract, the bladder, the kidneys. That's all happening. But other than that, they said that yes, you have a major infection, but your blood looks good, Helen. In fact, they said it looks perfect. So that made me feel good at least. For today, the blood's looking really good, minus this infection that we have that's so hard to beat. And so, anyways, if you guys have any tips or suggestions and you want to throw them in the comment section, I could really, really use them right now because I've tried a lot of things right now and nothing seems to be helping. And like I said, I'm probably going to have to go to the doctor and figure out about getting an antibiotic drip, and then hopefully that'll kick it. But we already know that you lose a lot of the good gut bacteria, and I've worked really, 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 really hard to get my gut back on track. So anytime that I have to take this kind of stuff, it just is so discouraging. But I know everybody's already told me, take a probiotic. Okay, I'm not probably going to take a probiotic. I'm not a very good patient that way, but what I will do is I will drink those yogurt drinks. Those are so good. So I've been drinking the Chobani ones, and I've been really liking the peach and the mango, and then they have a strawberry banana one. My son likes that one, and then they have like a berries one. And so those have really been helping, not just like spooning yogurt in your mouth. I mean, if you love yogurt like that, great, but these are just those like little shakes. You just shake it up. They're thin enough. They've actually been sitting really good in the gut, and I do think that they're helping somewhat. I guess if I absolutely have to take a probiotic because we can't kick this, I will, but I'm going to try to hold off and just do the yogurt for now. But I will take any suggestions at this point because I'm in pain. So anyways, thanks for tuning in, and I will keep you guys updated, and hopefully we will get this kicked and we'll be moving along. And if this is hormonal related, which I think it could be, so I don't think we're just dealing maybe with a UTI bladder kidney infection, I think that we might like have this hormonal stuff. We're going to have to figure out how to combat that as well. So this might be a little bit of a lengthy process, but I already know that we'll get there. God's got it. So have a good evening. Take care. Bye.